Okay, welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. Aloha, everyone. I'm your host, Savvy Makalena, the founder of Give Me a Break, a nonprofit organization that's caring for caregivers and bringing back the joy of caregiving. At least we try. And we try to do that every week and help you caregivers, all of us. Actually, I'm still a caregiver. I keep forgetting all the time. All of us caregivers to survive. Now, it's the day before Halloween. Ooh, so you may want to make time today. So here's the little tip for you to prepare for lots of visitors and knocks at the door. There'll be a lot of activity, maybe even going on in your neighborhood. I'm not sure how many of neighborhoods still have trick-or-treaters, but those that can be hard for someone with dementia, depending on what stage they're at. It's an active time, and the phone could be ringing a lot. The door could be going off. So take a little moment today to create a quiet place. Just an area where your caree can be in a sort of a sanctuary, right? Away from that. Put on their favorite soothing music, or make sure you turn up their TV just a little bit, with their favorite show where they can watch that. And if you really need to, if they're to the point, especially someone with Alzheimer's can be easily disrupted, put a sign on your door, a do not disturb sign, or leave some candy outside, or turn your porch light off. And so I know that we sometimes don't always think about that. And maybe you've had some bad Halloweens in the past and you think they might be okay, but each year it changes. So just a little tip from me, that might be something you may want to prep for today. I know there's a lot of other prep you may be doing, but that's a really important one because it benefits you. It also keeps them calm, but it's really about you not having to worry as much or to do the back and forth, or, well, you know what I mean, right? It's tough enough. So why make it tougher? All right. Now, did you know that next month is National Family Caregiver Month, right? I know it is. And there's my lovely little love there. Okay, look at, that's the one I like. So next month is National Family Caregiver Month, and the whole month of November every year. So this month, to honor all caregivers, Give Me a Break celebrates, well, actually, during November, but every year we celebrate National Caregiver Month with our Caregiver of the Year contest. And so, to enter our contest is super easy. All you have to do is go to our website, gab808.org. And if you want to go directly there, on our main page, there's a button you can click. But if you put /CGOY 2024, it'll take you right to the page and you can enter. We want you to share your story. Your story matters. And your story is going to make a difference to someone who's listening and watching, and they'll realize they're not alone too. We need to connect as a community. So share your story, and we'll definitely be talking about it more throughout the day, throughout this show, because that's what this show's all about. It's all about telling stories, and it's all about realizing that you have a community and how important that is, and how that's going to affect everything that you do and that we do moving forward. We also offer you a break every week through our support sessions. So every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, please join us. These are free, convenient, and it's just, again, another way to connect with community and caregivers that are here just like you. So join us for our support sessions. That's what we're here for. And I got to do the props here. So the Caring Caregiver Show is sponsored by Givers Guides magazine. It's an online magazine, and Givers Guides is written exclusively for caregivers by caregivers with a caregiver's point of view. And here's a sneak peek of what's coming out in just a couple of days. It's the November issue. And yes, that's my mom. So you've all heard me talk about my mom, and there she is. So that's her in her final stage of dementia now. And there's a story in there that I have that is in the magazine, and it's the cover story, which is the goodbye that continues to wave. And so I think you might enjoy reading that, and you may be able to relate to that. So that's my story, of course, right? And updated. It's a constant story. It's been a 10-year journey with my mom. And so, stories, like I said, are really, really important. And I think that it's it's something we need to come out of our shell sometimes to share. Because if we don't share a story, then no one knows what we're going through. And we need to give caregivers a voice. So not only will my story be in there, but of course, there'll be the stories of all of our board members. And most of our board members. Some will be in the December issue as well. However, this issue has some very great stories about what they've been going through, and they're complete stories. So you know, not just a little blurb of a story that you're going to get today, but also you'll get to follow up and see their complete story. So by all means, subscribe to Givers Guides magazine. Get on our website and get a subscription so you can get that November issue and start seeing what these stories are, and know that, again, you're not alone. Do realize that the profits from Givers Guides, we basically pay the bills and everything else goes to Give Me a Break. So Give Me a Break is funded through this way. It really helps us to continue doing what we do for caregivers. All right, this is kind of a bonus issue, a bonus episode of the Caring Caregiver Show for season 13. We weren't going to do an episode today, being so close to Halloween, but we threw in this bonus episode because I did want to share the stories, and I wanted to share the stories with our board members. So we're going to bring them on one at a time. You're going to get to meet them. And of course, one you already know, and that is my sister from another mister, and my co-host many times on the show. Please welcome, and as I bring in Lonnie Almanza. So hi, Lonnie, how are you?
Hi.
There's my Lonnie.
There I am.
I know you, and you all are very familiar with her. She's been on the show so many times. So Lonnie, hi, welcome, and please tell us your caregiving story.
So I've talked about it in different ways over the years. And recently what has come to mind is how caregivers' shoes come in all sizes. And what I mean by that is that I realized my caregiving journey started when I was about 10, being the oldest of 4, and starting to do babysitting, by myself with 4 younger siblings. And that responsibility, while it might have only been 1 or 2 hours, sort of started preparing me for that role throughout my lifetime. Yeah. I then became a mom and a wife and a mother at a very young age, in my early 20s. And again, that caregiver role, you just kind of are in it at the time. Yeah. You don't really think about it being a caregiver role. You're just in it.
Right.
And one of my big caregiving experiences came probably in my 30s, I think it was. In my 30s. Had to do a little bit of math there. When my youngest son was hit by a car in front of our house, and he was in a body cast for 3 months. And at the time I was working full time. He had just started kindergarten. And that really brought our whole family into this caregiving role. So his 3 older siblings had to learn how to turn him in a body cast, help us, bathe him, help take him for walks. So we all kind of moved into that caregiving perspective. And then when he was 19, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And that became another huge caregiving role and experience, walking that journey with him for 3 years until he transitioned. And what I realized at that point, being now into my 40s, maybe even 50s, was that in order for me to survive another caregiving journey like that, I needed to find self-care tools and resources to survive and thrive. Yeah. And that really put me in a position to be able to survive and thrive when I then took on the caregiver role for my parents. My dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which advanced to needing full-time care. My mother was then diagnosed with dementia. And so having those caregiving roles and experiences prepared me for that last big one. And what I like to share now is that I'm now in a joyful phase of caregiving because I have a young grandson a 19-month-old that I have for 2 days a week while moms are working. So, that caregiving journey goes full cycle.
You don't even realize, because it kind of just keeps coming, right? And I think so many of the listeners and those that will hear it on podcast later at this point right now realize, just from what you said, that they've been a caregiver almost their whole life. We don't realize it because people envision a caregiver's a time when you take care of somebody aging or a sick person.
Yeah.
But to make that connection, that's what we do all the time, right? We define what a caregiver is.
And I think, looking at that caregiver shoes come in all sizes at different phases of our life. We're wearing different size shoes, kinds of shoes, and walking that journey of a caregiver. But it's also what connected me to Give Me a Break. When I first met you and Give Me a Break was this idea or this concept that we talk about from the quote from Rosalind Carter, that there's 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been a caregiver, will be a caregiver, currently are a caregiver, or will need a caregiver. And so we all fit those shoes at some point in our life. Yeah. And that really connected with my experience and my perspective on caregiving and what aligned me with Give Me a Break. And so as we got to work together, I was doing my Alaka'i workshop, self-care workshops for caregivers initially, and then joined you as editor of the Giver's Guides magazine.
Shanghai.
You said it this time.
I know I did.
and then seeing the potential of what Give Me a Break has to offer, agreeing to become the COO of the board and the organization. And I think what it has shown me, or the reason I continue to stay involved, is that every time we do a presentation or a pamper session or a workshop, there's that one person that we impact.
Yes.
And that's one of my favorite quotes, is helping one person might not change the world, but it could change the world for that one person.
Yes.
And if we can have that impact every day, we're doing a good thing.
That makes all the difference in the world. And recently we actually did a presentation for a group of women, and one person actually sidebarred us after and was, listen, I need help with this. And that really helps you to understand that what you're doing has so much meaning, and that there's so much purpose in everything that we're doing with Give Me a Break. And I'm truly honored to have you as part of Give Me a Break. And I know that we're going to continue to do great things. And it won't just be that we affect one person. Our goal is to affect caregivers worldwide. And so that's an exciting future for all of us.
And I think we've already touched on that in different places. Certainly with the Caring Caregiver show, we've had people on from around the world. That's how I met Miriam, who helped me get my book written. And my book, Under a Full Moon and a Guiding Star, is really, a lot of it is about that caregiving journey and what that has taught me, and the lessons, self-care lessons that I teach as Alaka'i associate. Yeah.
And so for those of you who are listening in podcast, Lonnie Almanza, if you don't know her information, it is on screen. She's not only, of course, our vice president of the board, she's also our chief of operations, but the editor for Giver's Guides. And she has founded her own wellness company, Alaka'i Associates, and authored the book Under a Full Moon and a Guiding Star. And so that information is easily available to all of you. You can connect with Lonnie, and her wellness company, Alaka'i Associates, has so many wonderful things. Check out her website, because there's a lot there for you to be able to practice that and practice those mindful moments and wellness as well. And Lonnie, certainly you've been a great benefit to us. So thank you so much for sharing that and for coming on today and sharing your story and walking in your shoes with us. I love that. We're going to have to talk about that one more. I think that's a presentation coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lonnie.
All right.
Really
I'll be around.
It. Great. Have a great day.
All right.
Oopsie. And there we go. Okay. I'm a little backwards today. I'm just noticing that. And so again, wonderful story. And, you get her full story and she writes an article every month about that wellness practice and taking mindful moments in the Giver's Guide magazine. So you benefit from her knowledge and her journey every month. She has an amazing article. And I'm trying to remember here. I'll just pull it up beside me here. So she talks all about telling your story and the importance of that in the next issue. So get that, folks, get that. The next board member I want to bring out is she is my kindred spirit soul sister in life. And so, yes, I brought my family. Welcome, Christy. Hi, Christy. So Christy Pickrell and I'll let her tell it, but she's our treasurer and our CFO, but also the president of Our Little Peace of Mind, which is her company. And I think that you do nothing but give us peace of mind, and that's the friend that you have been to me as well. So, let's talk about your caregiving story.
Savvy, well, my caregiving story goes back to my earliest memories. And I'm not going to tell too much of it because you got to read the magazine to hear the whole story.
Yeah, to get her full story.
A little bit of history. You get a little bit of humor, I hope.
Yeah.
But really, my journey started as a young girl, helping with my grandparents, which is where the history comes in. So I learned a lot from them. But my grandmother was bedridden, and something I haven't talked a lot about is a journey that, as I'm rereading my article, I have a legacy of caregiving. My grandmother, who I took care of, was also a caregiver. She had 7 children. She was also a foster mom. And I don't know if I mentioned it in the magazine article, but I don't know if I ever told you about that, Savvy. She cared for newborns who, for some reason or another, had been separated from their mothers. And she was a short-term foster mom for over 100 infants.
Wow.
And some she had for a couple days, some she had for months until they could be placed in a permanent residence. And this is all before I became her caregiver.
Yeah.
But as a teenager, listening to her talk to me while I'm caring for her, tell me the stories of the babies that she took care of.
Yeah.
Really kind of hit home that I'm kind of a legacy caregiver.
Yeah. You know? And I love that. I love your story too, because this is something we talk about all the time, is that you are not just the legacy in the sense of having been a caregiver. You received a legacy, the history and the stories and the lore that gets passed down. I talk about that here in Hawaii all the time, that we pass the stories on, and you received so much of that by being her caregiver. You were able to get, and that's such a wonderful thing about, that's sort of a perk of caregiving, right?
Yeah, I can't to this day make a box cake without thinking about her. Because she taught me how to make it from her bed. She taught me how to read the instructions on a recipe and follow a recipe. And I can't make a box cake without thinking of her, because that's where that knowledge came from.
Yeah.
And my journey went beyond my grandmother. It continues today to my almost 25-year-old autistic son. Which is kind of how I got involved with Give Me a Break. I have been what I like to call a mentor. I like to help. I like to be an advocate. And through my son, I started Our Little Piece of Mind, which has evolved, but did a lot of advocacy and worked with families with special needs. And that's how I got involved. I met Savvy through the Caring Caregiver show when it was originally on.
Right. In the very beginning, like, of the show, I think.
Beginning.
Yes.
And which led to the magazine, which led to Give Me a Break. You know, just the passion that Savvy has for caregiving, I felt really gave me an outlet for my mentoring and wanting to give back and to help other caregivers along and through and after and before their caregiving journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of full circle for me.
Yeah, you know, and some of you may, some of those of you who have been following us for years and years and years may remember some of the first issues of the Giver's Guides magazine when we 4 years now. And Christy used to do the Ask Christy article, which basically was where caregivers would send us questions and then Christy would put the answers out for you. It was like a Dear Abby kind of a concept that we came up with. I love it. And you did the Ask Christy article, which was amazing. And, you know, we have since sort of evolved into different articles now and writers, but, you know, it was, the caregivers really benefit from getting answers to their questions with that. And I think that's been something so amazing that we were able to do at the time. So,
and if you get your subscription to Giver's Guides, you can get access to all those back issues.
Yeah, you can find them. Oh my God, that's right. The back issues, they're still out there and you can still read those questions and get the answers. I love it, Christy. Thank you. And that's why she's with Give Me a Break. And that's why she's our chief financial officer.
Well, it is a pure pleasure to be part of Give Me a Break, and the people that I've met and hopefully been able to connect with and make a difference in their life is why I do what I do, and is why I continue and to be part of Give Me a Break, and why I encourage all of you to contact Give Me a Break, get involved, volunteer. You know, if you're have sent in support requests, keep an eye on your mailbox, you know, outreach. That's, you know, get in touch with us. We want to make a difference in your life. Yeah. And so that's why I love
and those of you who are, and those of you who are also have checked off on there and clicked off that you want our newsletter. By the way, you know, Christy does the newsletter. She's the one that sends all those cards to you and all the little gifts and mementos. So, you know, the kindness of your heart is such an amazing thing. And we're truly honored to have you as part of our board and part of all of the things we do moving forward. And of course, part of my family. So thank you, Christy. And thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
You know I love you. Bye. All right. Oh, boy. I'm trying so hard to keep it together today. Whew, a lot of emotion. So I'm just going to keep moving on. I want to bring on our next board member. And so, Gianna, throw on some clothes now. I know I told you could run around, you know, without anything on there, but I'm about to bring you on. So here's Gianna. So I want to welcome Gianna and Gigi as she goes by, and she serves as our board secretary and also has her own accounting and tax business. So yes, she helps us with a lot of our taxes and keeps us legal. Thank you so much. Welcome, Gianna.
Thank you, Savvy.
I'm so happy. I thank you for throwing on that dress.
Yeah,
I know.
Okay, let me hurry up.
So just so that everybody knows, this is just a joke. I use a platform to stream all of this live to all of you. And in the platform, I put everybody back in a green room, and I always tell them it's a virtual green room and that nobody can see or hear them, so they can run around naked if they want. And so that's sort of a funny thing that we joke about. We don't do that. We don't run around without clothes on. But if anyone so choose to, they could. I always give them a warning before I bring them on. But I'm so
We
happy to have
appreciate
you
it
on,
too.
Gianna. So,
I'm
but
glad
tell
to
us,
be here.
tell us your caregiving story, Gianna.
Well, I'll give you a little teaser of my caregiving story, and like most people who don't realize that their caregiving story started a long time ago. Mine goes as far back as when I was probably in middle school, and where I had to help my mom with my siblings, and so I've been caring for since then. And I helped her with my siblings, and until I became a mom myself. And my firstborn actually was diagnosed very young. And so, I'm grateful for the experience that I got. I probably wasn't as grateful when I was young because I wanted to go play with the other kids, but mom needed my help. But I was grateful that I had the experience because I was a very young mom. I was in my 20s when I started having kids. And so not having that experience probably would have been a little bit more devastating because when they diagnosed my son with autism, it was very rare at the time. He was 2.5 years old. I didn't know what I was going to do, didn't know what to do. And there weren't a lot of resources back then. Barely anyone knew what autism was at the time.
Right.
And so, talk about just not knowing what to do and where to go for help was a big deal for me. So I kind of had to learn a lot of things on my own, and just ask for help a lot. I'll never forget when I took my son to a daycare before he was diagnosed, and they gave me a letter and asked me to pick him up, and that they couldn't keep him anymore. And they said, you need to get some help. Your son needs help. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get some help. And I went to the elementary school in my neighborhood with tears in my eyes. And I asked for the diagnostician. She wasn't available. I had already reached out to them, but the therapist was there. She left her kids that she was doing therapy with, a group of kids. She came out and I told her, I am so sorry to be coming to you with tears in my eyes, but I don't know what to do for my son. My life changed at that point, and that's when I got the help that I needed, and I was able to get, my son where, and that's where the journey kind of started, getting him diagnosed and things like that. And
right.
It's been a long journey, and it still continues. He is 27 now, and not only do I have my older son, but I have 3 other children. I was a single mom for a long time, and I always call the neighborhood kids my kids. So because I had kids their age, they always felt comfortable coming here. So just caregiving in general is just a part of who I am. And and I learned that not only from my mother, but I've also learned that just being around people who love and care and give back to those who are in need. Yeah.
And I'll tell you that what you just said resonates probably with caregivers out there right now who are going through that, whose child was just diagnosed or who doesn't know where to go, know. And so again, Give Me a Break has these resources. We can connect you. We have the experience. I mean, Gianna can tell you what she had to, she can tell you the full extent of her story, and what she had to go through. Right. And so, if you're out there, we know what you're going through. And this is why we all come together. I mean, I know that you were close with Christy, and Christy brought you on board, and we're so happy to have you. But why do you continue to work with Give Me a Break, and what's the thing that you really feel means so much to you being part of our organization?
Yes, Christy did bring me on, and I'm glad that she did. I'm more of a background worker. I like to work in the background and keep the wheels turning. But one of the reasons I stay and I'm really grateful for this program is because I remember when there was nothing out there and that I felt all alone. I remember that feeling, and it wasn't easy. It was really hard being out there alone, not having anyone to pick up the phone and call that understood what you were going through, could give you some ideas to just talk through it. And I stayed because I want that to be available to people out there. Just like you said, newly diagnosed and don't know what to do, because you're so overwhelmed. You're so overwhelmed with the diagnosis, and you're trying to emotionally deal with it and be strong.
Yeah.
But you also need people to help you, guide you in the right direction. You can spin your wheels for days, months, years going in the wrong direction, and not benefiting from the resources that are out there because you just don't know what to do. So, having this program available, not only to give resources, but for support. I didn't have a support group when my son was younger. I have one today, but when he was first diagnosed, and maybe the first 5 or 6 years, I was by myself, and I don't want anybody to have to go through that journey alone. I don't recommend it. I went through it, and it was no fun at all. And I'm glad that I have it now. But if you can find a way to get a group of people to help you and support you through the journey, and you don't have to do it alone, it makes a huge difference. So that's why I stay.
Yeah, it's all about community, and we hope you are here forever. And so, and I can't thank you enough for your heart and your kindness and everything that you do and to help keep us going, because we're all here to bring this community together and to help caregivers to survive. And so, thank you for that, Gianna, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here, and I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you.
Aw, love you. All right. Thank you. And so, amazing, right? Just another board member. And I want to point out too that both Christy and Gianna are in Houston. So they're not even here in Hawaii. So we're already expanding across the nation. And gosh, any caregivers out there that want to be part of what we're doing, please join us. This is what it's all about. We're forming a community. We're holding hands, and eventually we'll hold hands all the way around the world. And, I even hold hands with somebody right in my own neighborhood. And so I want to bring on our last guest today and our newest, she was our newest board member up until about a week ago. We have one more board member who wasn't here today, couldn't join us, but she is our newest board member, and so we're so honored to have her. Please welcome Marilyn Lemaire. Marilyn, hi. How are you today?
So good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're excited to have you. And now, Marilyn, tell us your caregiving story.
Yeah, so I realized that Gianna and I definitely have things in common, as well as some of the other women, right? Just talking about caregiving for a family member with autism. And for myself, my oldest son, I didn't realize until he had been kicked out of 2 schools that he was diagnosed as autism later on. And that made so much more sense. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do. What kind of support, what kind of resources are there? And I felt like I was also, doing things on my own as well. So just finding, a community of people, and then getting to meet you, right? And just through networking and just hearing how 50% of caregivers don't outlive the people that they're caring for. I was like, that is not okay, right? So just hearing your heart and all the people that is a part of Give Me a Break, I was like, oh my gosh, I just love, everybody's heart to give and serve and help one another.
And that's really one of your strengths as well. I mean, you're an amazing speaker, and you do, part of what you do is to train as well. But you also connect people. And I love that. I'll tell you that the majority of the guests we get on Caring Caregiver Show actually come through Marilyn, and she finds these amazing hearts of people and vets them, because, we want to make sure that anyone that we share on this show, or anybody that we help guide you to as a resource, is somebody that is the heart of a caregiver. And, Marilyn recognizes that. And I can't thank you enough for doing that and for helping us and to continue to be able to grow our community of resources, as well as just being part of everything that we do. So yeah, you're amazing. You also do a really neat, you have a wellness product that you come on the show and talked about as well. So you're also a wellness advocate on top of that. So that's just a great thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Mental wellness is very, very important, very dear to my heart, as there's mental illness within my family. So how can I be a support and resource and just help other people as well? So it's been a journey for sure. And just navigating through, there's so many things I realize I don't know, and I'm learning something every single day. And this is why Give Me a Break is so important, because we're constantly open to learning and connecting and meeting new people. And I mean, there's just so many things out there that we can just connect each other to and just be a support and resource. And I appreciate that about you, Savvy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always say that the universe puts like hearts together. And I think that's what brought us all together. And we have this wonderful mission now to get out there and really make a difference and give a voice to caregiving. And it's not a drudgery. It's not a life sucker to be a caregiver. It's not a give up everything in your life. Caregiving is so much more. And we really are trying to bring the joy back. And so you being part of this is just it was just a meant to be. It really was. I remember when I even talked to you about it, I said, you know what, you need to be part of this. I knew instinctively that this is where you need to be, and you need to be part of what we're doing. And so we're really honored to have you here. And gosh, I wouldn't have anyone else. So, we'll have as many as we can, but we'll bring more Marilyns in.
Well, and I will say it's totally divine timing, because really, like less than 48 hours before you reached out to me asking to be on the board, I was praying to
That's
God
right.
that I would love to be a part of a nonprofit, on the board of a nonprofit, of an organization that I align with. And then you had reached out, and I'm like, this is my sign, right?
So I know, and we were both like, okay, we can't deny this. This is it's an important work, and we're going to do this. Doggone it. Yes. So I'm so honored to have you here. And, a lot of you don't know, but we all do a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't see. But I'm so happy to have had you on today to share your caregiving journey. And it continues on as a journey, and share your heart. So thank you for that, Marilyn.
Yes, mahalo. I appreciate you so much.
Me too. All right. Aloha. Wow. Yeah. So, I don't know if other nonprofits really share all of this or talk about who's involved in what they're doing. But one of the most important characteristics that we always talk about and discuss is when we want to bring a new board member on, is we want somebody who has the heart of a caregiver. So if you have the heart of a caregiver, you have that passion, and you want to get involved in something amazing that's going to make a difference, it's already making a difference, contact us. We'd love to have you join us. We'd love to have you part of what we're doing. Even if you don't want to be on the board, if you just want to volunteer and help us out, boy, we got a lot of things coming up. The big message here is that you are not alone. You are not alone. There's a huge community of caregivers. In fact, there's 154,000 family caregivers in the state of Hawaii alone. I can't even quote how many there are in Houston. So worldwide, there's something like 2 billion of us. And so we're a huge community, not just caregivers, family caregivers, but care workers as well. Those of you who are doing this, we're all part of a community, and we all need to hold hands, and we have a voice. And you know what? We need to survive. We need to survive. So share your story. Share your story. You got to hear these wonderful stories here. It didn't take much at all. Share your story. Go to gab808.org/CGOY 2024 and share your story. Be a part of our Caregiver of the Year contest. Get your entry in now. We've extended the entry until the 15th of November. We're going to have a panel of judges, none of us, a panel of judges who are going to look at the stories, and they're going to choose a winner. But you know what? We're all winners. You're all going to get wellness prizes. You're all going to get notoriety, and you're going to get connected to a community, which is the greatest thing you can do. I think everyone gets like a year subscription to our Givers Guides magazine too. So, there's all kinds of wonderful gifts and prizes, but the greatest prize is the community that we form, and that we get to hold hands, and that we get to even go on to do things like advocate. So while you're on our website, click Be an Advocate, go on there and check out the bill that we're trying to get caregivers paid. We have a bill that's going to legislature. I'm going to Capitol Hill at the end of November, and I'm taking those signatures with me. So help support our bill. Help us to get caregivers paid. Check it out while you're on our website. Join our community. Use your voice. Be part of something amazing that needs to be done. We need to have a voice for caregivers. They need to hear us. We are here. We are here. We are here, you guys. And also, please, if you haven't done so already, please get out and vote. You only have a few more days to do so. So it's really important that you do that. It's going to make a difference for the landscape politically, how we can get help for caregivers, and whatever it is you vote, just vote. Do it. Be active. All right. Anyway, I want to thank all of my board members. In fact, there's some still here. I'm bringing you all back in. Hi, there everybody is. There we are. We're all here again. So thank you for watching. And did any of you want to make any last comments as well?
I wanted to briefly share, because I've talked offline. We talked a little bit about just showing up, that, I thought about getting dressed up and putting on makeup, and it's one of those days that caregivers have where you just show up like you are. And I thought the shirt that I'm wearing today, you can't really see it, but it's a calavera, which is a Hispanic Mexican skull that is representative of Dia de los Muertos, which is the celebration of those that have passed. And I think just realizing, when we talk about our caregiving journeys, and Christy said, we're having a legacy, we don't just have the legacy of our ancestors, but we become the legacy for our descendants. So I just wanted to share that.
I love that, Lonnie. Thank you. And I love that we're able to learn so much from those who have passed, because they were caregivers themselves. And I think that we are responsible now to continue that legacy, to be able to change that. And it's our responsibility to teach caregivers to be survivors and to change caregiving into a joyous thing again. So we carry what they taught us, and now we have to teach future generations what caregiving really is all about. And that's the responsibility that we all have, and that I know you all share with me. So I'm really looking forward to everything we're going to do. We have our planning sessions coming up for next year, and 2025 is going to be amazing. So I really look forward to having all of you a part of that. Anyone else want to share anything? I'm sorry, I'm just yapping.
Sometimes we think that we're alone, and you're not alone. Like, the more people that we can reach to just have a support and a community, it's so important, and we can just lock arms and know that we can help lean on each other. And
yes, I agree, Marilyn. Thank you. And I also want to point out that nobody gets paid, by the way. None of us have paid positions. We're all volunteers. We do this voluntarily. Yes. And we do this out of our hearts.
I wanted to say, and I just wanted to share, I know that a lot of times we're afraid in the beginning of reaching out because we don't know what to say. We don't know people. But I guarantee you, you will be received with a lot of love. And that's one of the things that you really need, is some love. You need a shoulder to cry on. You need somebody to talk to. Everybody that you come into contact with who has been a caregiver gets it. And so
we do.
Get over that fear of reaching out and just do it. Just dive in head first. I guarantee you won't regret it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a good teaser for my story and my article in the November issue of Givers Guides.
All right, I like it.
This is what happens when you put a bunch of powerful caregiving women together in one show. I love it. Well, I just really want to thank you all for watching today, all you caregivers out there, and for everybody who reaches out, and for all of you for sharing your stories. And of course, let me do my due diligence. I want to remind you that the show is brought to you by Give Me a Break. It is sponsored by Givers Guides Online Magazine. So get your subscription. Next month's issue is amazing. And really, the Caring Caregiver Show is here to help you to get resourced. It's here to connect you with the community, and really with your wellness as a survival and your survival as our goal. So please always tune into the show and help us in any way you can. You can always donate to outright to Give Me a Break right on our website. We happily accept those as well. And, you know, season 13 is going to be filled with some amazing more stories as we continue on through this, through November. Please stay tuned because we have a lot of caregiving stories. Join us on social media because that's where we'll be posting the caregiver stories for you to relate to. And please, gosh, like, follow, subscribe all the time. But put a reminder in your calendar. You don't want to miss a single show. And if you do, it's okay. We're on podcast as well. So we're on Stitcher, Google, Apple, Spotify, gosh, all of them. You can always go back and podcast and listen to it later. And for those of you who do listen on audio podcast, mahalo. Mahalo from the heart, because I know and I appreciate all your comments that you've been sharing with me. I am just taken aback and awed by the fact that this is getting you through your day. So thank you. Thank you for that. And that really helps us to know that what we're doing is really meant to continue on and on and on. And you can always go to the caringcaregivershow.com. There it is right there on screen for those of you who can't put those words together. It's super easy, caringcaregivershow.com. And you can go and look at any of the past videos or listen to any audio from our show. We also show up on Olelo 53 about a month or so after the season. We'll be on Olelo 53 and you can see our rebroadcast there. But we're just about everywhere. The most important thing, caregivers, is get connected and stay connected because you do have a community and we're here for you. All right. Thank you, you guys, so much. It's just great to kind of see us all together too, and not in a meeting, right? I know
It is. It's nice.
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do like a virtual happy hour one night or something. I know. Thank you so much. I
right.
love you all from the bottom of my heart. And in
We
the
love you.
meantime, caregivers, remember to breathe. Here's hoping that you're finding joy in your caregiving every week right here on the Caring Caregiver Show. So thanks for tuning in, and please always be kind to yourself and especially to those who care. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.